What was so important about the Jingkang Incident? The Jingkang Incident, also known as the Humiliation of Jingkang or the Disorders of the Jingkang Period, was an ongoing episode of invasions and atrocities that occurred in 1127 during the Jin-Song Wars. Soldiers of the Jurchen-led Jin dynasty besieged and attacked the northern Song imperial palaces in Bianjing, the present-day city of Kaifeng, the capital of the Han Chinese northern Song. During the assault on the capital, the Jin captured the ruler of the dynasty, Emperor Qinzong, along with his father, the recently retired Emperor Huizong, and most members of the imperial family, including the bloodline and senior officials of the Song imperial court. While the imperial family were captured, the civilians of the city were mostly unaffected by the change, apart from having to pay ransoms in the form of taxes to the Jin. The importance of this incident. The event marked the collapse of the Northern Song dynasty, an empire that had controlled most of China until that point. While most of the imperial family were captured, some, including Zhao Guo, later to become Emperor Gaozong, were able to escape to southern China. Once in the south, under the leadership of Zhao Guo, the Song dynasty was re-established to be known historically as the Southern Song dynasty in the new capital of Linan, present-day Hangzhou. The event contributed to the return of descendants of Emperor Taizu to the line of succession, as most of the previous emperor's family were held captive by the Jin. The event is known as the Jingkang Incident because it took place during the Jingkang era of Emperor Qinzong's reign. The background leading to this situation. In 1120, under the alliance conducted at sea, the Jin and Song dynasties had agreed to form a military alliance against the Liao dynasty, and, if victorious, the two dynasties would divide up the conquered Liao territories, with the Jin getting the majority of the northern lands, while the Song would gain a smaller portion of the southern region known as the 16 prefectures. The Song army, under the leadership of Tongguan, arrived at the border of the Song Liao dynasties, where their advance was halted by the defensive forest the Song had created to defend that border since the reign of Emperor Taizhu. Tongguan ordered the forest be cleared so the armies could advance into Liao territory. Meanwhile, the Jin army had sacked the Liao capital of Shanjing to bring an end to the Liao dynasty, while further south the Song hadn't advanced past the defensive positions set up by the Liao, even suffering some defeats. This exposed the frailties of the Song army, in addition to its corruption and inefficiency within the Song imperial court. Rather than divide the captured territories as originally agreed, the Jin took control of all the former Liao land. Despite their inadequacies in fighting the Liao, the Song wanted the 16 prefectures as they were promised. The Jin sold them this land at the price of 300,000 bolts of silk and 200,000 ounces of silver. This was equal to the tribute the Song had been paying the Liao annually since the Chanyuan Treaty of 1005. Prelude to the war. According to the 24 histories written in 1128, 3 years after the fall of the Liao dynasty, Zhang Ju, a Jin general and governor of the Jin-controlled Pingzhou prefecture, defected to the Song dynasty. This prefecture was within the Great Wall but not considered to be part of the 16 prefectures. Regardless of that, the Song dynasty welcomed the defection, awarding Zhang Ju with an honorific title and land. The Jin sent diplomats into Song territory with the intention of capturing Zhang Ju, with Jin armies also sacking 3 Song cities. In a ruse to fool the Jin, Wang Anzong, a Song general, had someone who looked similar to Zhang Ju killed and his head sent to the Jin. However, the Jin, realizing the head was not that of the defected general, attacked the Song again, with Zhang Zhu eventually being executed. However, not impressed by the tactics of the Song, Emperor Taizong of Jin launched a full-scale attack on Song territories in late 1125. The first siege of Bianjing, with the Song armies having cleared the defensive forest on the former Song-Liao border in 1122, the Jin army was able to quickly penetrate its way into Song territory with little resistance. The northern army made quick advances in sacking first Qin Huangdao in October 1125, quickly followed by taking the cities of Baoding, Dingzhou, Zhengding, and Xingtai by January 1126. The northern army, under the command of Wanyan Zhongwang, met little resistance as most Song generals surrendered their armies and therefore the cities they were there to protect as soon as the Jin army arrived. However, that was not reflected for the Jin's western army commanded by Wanyan Zongyang, as that army was held up at the cities of Datong and Taiyuan and thus made little progress throughout the course of the war. In February 1126, the Jin's northern army crossed the Yellow River and began the siege of Bianjing, present-day Kaifeng, the Song capital. Before the arrival of the Jin and their surrounding the city, Emperor Huizong had abdicated in favor of his oldest son, who became Emperor Qinzong, with Huizong fleeing to the countryside with his entire entourage. The Jin's northern army faced difficult siege fighting that was not suited to their role as a cavalry unit, with the western army still held up in the area around Datong and unable to come to their aid when the Song Emperor Qinzong sent his ninth brother Zhao Go to the Jin for peace talks. The Jin Emperor's response was to hold Zhao Go hostage until the Song imperial court paid a sizable ransom and the city of Taiyuan given to the Jin as a gift, a sign of good faith. Eventually, Zhao Go was released and the Jin army began its withdrawal. Second Siege of Bianjing. Once the Jin army had completed its withdrawal, life within Song imperial society returned to normal in that lavish parties took place within the palace. Emperor Huizong felt it was safe to return to the city, and although some generals expressed concerns, stating that large numbers of soldiers should be positioned along the border of the Yellow River, Emperor Qinzong rejected those proposals. According to the Song Emperor, the Jin forces would never return. Many of the experienced generals that defended the city from the first siege of Bianjing were removed from the capital and posted elsewhere across the empire, while several army groups were decommissioned or personnel sent to their original prefectures. Just 3 months after the first siege ended, 2 ambassadors were sent to the Song from the Jin imperial court. The 2 ambassadors were nobles of the former Liao dynasty. Emperor Qinzong believed they could be turned against the Jin, and through the 2 invited former Liao personnel to join Song in an anti-Jin alliance. But Emperor Qinzong had seriously misread the situation, and the 2 envoys returned to the Jin emperor and handed a letter to Emperor Taizong of Jin. Furious at the attempted treachery, Taizong ordered an even bigger army to attack the Song. This second campaign would see the toppling of the northern Song dynasty. Most of the Jin army had only just returned from the first siege of Bianjing, and not at that point been demobilized, so they were instantly made available for the second campaign. Somewhat daring was the Jin plan to follow the same two routes of invasion, beginning in September 1126. Unlike the first campaign, the Western army was this time able to sack the city of Datong within 1 month. Following this, other cities en route, such as Luoyang and Zhengzhou, simply surrendered, clearing the way for the Western army to progress swiftly towards the goal of Bianjing. Meanwhile, the Northern Army had easily sacked Baoding, followed by Dingzhou and Zhengding by the end of September, before regrouping
and crossing the Yellow River by November. The next stage of the campaign saw the sackings of the cities of Qinzong, Puyang, and others as the Jin went on a rampage of destruction on their approach to Bianjing, arriving there by December, when both armies regrouped outside the capital and the second siege of the city began. Unlike the first siege, there were some notable and indeed fatal flaws facing the Song in their defending their capital. Firstly, there was a shortage of experienced generals, along with an unorganized defense of the city. Secondly, the second siege saw the arrival of a much larger Jin army. Emperor Huizong sent a force of 150,000, having learnt from the first campaign. Third, although Emperor Qinzong sent out calls for help and he had lots of responses to those calls, the size of the Jin army made it impossible for any aid to reach the city. Finally, the trust Emperor Qinzong placed in one of his ministers, who claimed he could summon divine help from heaven, led to lots of wasted time and the eventual loss of life on a huge scale. On the 9th of January 1127, less than a month after the siege began, Bianjing fell to the Jin. Emperor Qinzong, his father Huizong, and large numbers of the imperial family were captured by the Jin, bringing to an end the Northern Song dynasty. Gold and silver, among other treasures and gifts of tribute, were given in exchange for the sparing of civilian lives in Bianjing. Abduction and looting of the palace. On the 20th of March 1127, the two former emperors learnt of their fate. They were to be demoted to commoners, stripped of any ceremonial trappings, while Jin soldiers looted the imperial palace. According to the accounts of Jingkang, the Jin looted the entire imperial library, as well as stripped any decorations they were able to from the palace. All the female servants and imperial musicians were abducted, while the residences of the imperial family were looted. All the female prisoners were ordered, on pain of death, to serve the Jin aristocracy, no matter what rank in society they had previously held. The former emperor's concubines were given to a Jin prince, while many, to avoid captivity and eventual slavery under the Jurchens, chose to commit suicide. Fearing any counter-offensive from the remaining Song armies, Emperor Huizong set up a puppet government to control the lands to the south of the Yellow River called Chu, and ordered all captured assets and prisoners to be taken back to the Qin capital of Tianjin in present-day Harbin. Over 14,000 people, including the Song imperial family, embarked on this torturous journey, including most of the Song ministers and generals of the Northern Song. Many of those 14,000 never completed the journey, with most dying of illness, dehydration, and exhaustion. For those that arrived at the Jin capital, each captive had to undergo a humiliating ritual of wearing only a sheepskin, a Han ritual drawn from ancient Han customs, and paraded through the capital. Captured Empress Zhu committed suicide rather than face a humiliation of this ritual. Men were sold into slavery. Women, especially the Song princesses, became palace slaves, while others were taken as personal slaves by Jin princes or employed as concubines to those princes. Emperor Qinzong of Song would spend the rest of his life in captivity, although he was later raised to the status of nobility. In 1156, as an act of humiliation, Emperor Qinzong and the Khitan Emperor Tianzhou of Liao, another Jin captive, were forced to play a game of polo against each other. Qinzong, being weakened and frail, fell from his horse, while Tianzhou, and more able on a horse, tried to escape but was shot and killed by archers. Aftermath and conclusion. The scale of destruction and devastation seen during the Jin invasion of northern Song was unprecedented. Treasures were lost, art collections destroyed, scrolls from the imperial library lost on a scale
that Chinese society had never seen before. Due to the heavy damage to the economy and its military, the talented manpower of China during the Southern Song dynasty meant recovery of those lost territories was not possible for the next 200 years, despite almost constant wars between the Jin and Southern Song dynasties. It was not until the arrival of the Ming dynasty that the territories lost by the Song were able to be recovered. Many foreign-sounding or non-traditional Chinese family names that exist in China today can be dated back to this incident when Han Chinese captives were forced to adopt Jurchen family names. Many members of the imperial family of the Qing dynasty had the surname Jioro, and it's believed that they were direct descendants of Emperor Huizong or Emperor Qinzong. That brings us to the end of this video, highlighting a historical incident that's helped shape China today. If you've enjoyed watching and it's shown you a little detail of life and events here in China, then your subscribing to my channel would mean a lot to me. Thank you for watching. Make sure you click on the link to the next video, and until the next time, goodbye for now.